Hi, everyone. This is Marilyn Bradford, and I would like to welcome you to my Left Turn podcast. What is your left turn? Writing a blog, parenting in a different way, letting go of the old because you are aware of something greater. Left turns are choices we can all make. It's about a willingness to step into the unknown in any area of your life, to trust yourself, to risk creating or trying something new. It's about letting your true uniqueness shine. The greatest people who have lived, artists, statesmen, writers, explorers, musicians, have all been people willing to turn left. What capacities do you have that you have not acknowledged? What would your life and the world be like if you were willing to turn left? Welcome, everybody. I'm Marilyn Bradford, and this is an edition of the Left Turn podcast. Today, we have an absolutely amazing man, Dr. David Kubes, with us. He's what this reality would call a high achiever or Superman, but
Oh my God. What an
what,
introduction. Thank you.
what I would like to add is that something that doesn't always get into bios, and I'm going to read a little bit of his bio, that besides all of his achievements, he's a really great guy. He's a very nice and kind person, always respectful of others. I've taken several classes. Anyway, welcome, Dr. David Kubes.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me as a guest on your podcast, Marilyn. I'm truly honored.
Well, I am too. So I'll just give a little of the bio. Dr. David Kubes was born in Vienna, Austria, and started his career as an international lawyer working in the airline industry, negotiating and working with different cultures, legal systems, and ethnic backgrounds all around the world. He began to specialize in conflict management, mediation, crisis intervention, and dispute resolution. Wow. Creating something greater rather than fighting and conflict was always his target in life. I just love that. You could see that conflict wasn't working. This led to his second business, international business consulting and life coaching. As a trainer, Dr. Kubes developed his own unique facilitation and coaching techniques. In 2015, I'm taking us back to Jesus' time, apparently. He discovered access consciousness and became a certified facilitator. Today, Dr. Kubes still manages his own business and law firm. He became the international attorney for access consciousness worldwide, which is pretty phenomenal. He facilitates calls and workshops worldwide. Thank you so much for being here. So
Thank
we
you, Marilyn.
see by your bio that you've had a lot of left turns, done a lot of things that might surprise people. What have been the most energizing, the ones that have created the greatest, maybe even some of the most difficult ones for you?
Well, when I look at my left turns, it's more like a spiral staircase up the Twin Towers. Probably every 6 months another left turn. But the funny thing is, when I took those left turns, I actually didn't recognize it. I was always going into, oh my God, will I end up in hell? Will I lose everything? Will this be the biggest disaster, the biggest mistake of my life? And it never turned out to be a mistake. And it literally took me until I found out about the tools of access consciousness to acknowledge that as a talent rather than always going, oh my God, I was just lucky that nothing bad happened. Um, even becoming a lawyer, having a doctor's degree was a left turn. Um, I I graduated from high school, and I remember it was that one. I was, as a when you graduate from high school, you need to find a summer job before you start university, and all
Okay.
these student summer jobs are just horrible. I was a postman. I was working in a production a factory, all these stupid jobs that you do just over the summer. And I know the summer was over and we were sitting, all these friends, everybody was about to start their career. And I said, listen, I'm, I, I said, I speak three languages. I love to travel. I graduated from high school. I'm not going to do these um, useless, stupid jobs. I said, I want to travel the world. I want to have breakfast in London, lunch in Paris, and dinner in Rome. And they
I'll
all,
have that. That sounds great.
and everybody was laughing at me. Get real. Stop dreaming. Now, as school is over, the real life begins, and you won't be able to find. You need to work hard for like 10 years before you have that. And I was like, fuck it. If this is life, I'm not. I'm not interested in. So 2 months later, by coincidence, I met a friend who told me that at Vienna Airport they are looking for students to help out at Austrian Airlines during the summer season and on the weekend, and they're looking for students. So I immediately applied and said I want to work at the airport, and then they called me back and said sure. Um, but there was a little problem. These student contracts became illegal the same year. They had to register us as part-time employees. And I said, well, I can do university and be part-time employee. So I did it every weekend from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Saturday, Sunday. I was working at the airport. But the benefit was when you work as an employee for an airline, you get free standby tickets.
Travel the
So
world.
6 months, exactly. You have to wait 6 months on your contract, and then you could get your first standby ticket. And guess what I did? I flew to London for breakfast, to lunch for Rome, to Paris, and for dinner to Rome. And I came back and told my friends, see, it is not impossible.
I love that. That's great, David. That's
But
amazing.
the price I paid for that is, I remember for 5 years going through university, I didn't have a single day off because
Wow.
every weekend I
Right.
had to work. When everybody else had vacation, we had to work full time. But it didn't matter. I was like, no, that's the life I want to have.
Mhm.
Um, and then, when you have standby tickets, I literally traveled the world. I could invite my mother to her 50th birthday, flying business class to Cape Town. We went for one night to Singapore for karaoke singing. So that
Oh.
became so much fun. It actually became so much fun that that I didn't want to work as a lawyer. So when I finished law school, you need to go um, and work for the court for 1 year to get practice.
Mhm.
And after that, you need to work for a law firm for 4 years. And after that, you can take the bars exam. So I didn't want to stop working at the airport. So I kept the job during my court year. I did it again all weekends. I always had my
Wow.
uniform in the car, left the court at 3:30 and did the evening shift at the airport. And I just didn't want to work in the law firm. And everyone working at the court, everybody was looking at their career and they said, listen, being a check-in agent at the airport won't give you credentials to find a job in a good law firm. So I applied for a part-time job in a law firm. And I remember it was one of those big buildings with like 15 law firms in one building. So I went into that law firm, sat in the waiting room, and nobody called me. Nobody called me. And then after an hour, the secretary came out and said, what are you waiting for? And I said, I have a job interview. And she said, no, we are not looking for anyone. So I looked
Oh.
at that paper. I went to the wrong law firm. I pressed the wrong floor. And gosh, the next day I went back to court and everybody says, so how was your interview? And I just didn't want to say it didn't work. I said, oh yeah, I'm not sure. But I felt so bad because
Mm.
I knew I needed to start working somewhere. Who will take me? Um, and then I said, no, I said this was a sign from the universe. Waiting in the wrong law firm. So I had another idea. I actually said, if I don't want to start working right away, I could write a PhD because then you could get another year of student contract. So I decided to write a PhD in aviation law, of course. to extend my year working at the airport, which I really enjoyed. Um, and then, one choice leads to the other. When that year was over, I finally said, "Damn, I need to work in one of those law firms." But I had my doctor's degree in aviation law by then, and I didn't know that I was the only one who ever wrote a thesis about aviation law in Austria. So
Wow.
it took me 3 weeks after I graduated and I had my doctor's degree. The law firm who represented Austrian Airlines called me and said, "Well, don't you want to work for us?" So
How perfect.
that's how I got that job. And, it was all this stumbling into the next career while trying to build up a CV that I could represent, or that I could present. And that's how I kind of stumbled through life, making my career.
I don't think people would call that stumbling. I think they would call that a lot of persistence
Ah,
and
my God.
after what you desired.
Well, if you're surrounded by people who tell you, you have to stop that, you were just lucky. Just imagine you weren't that lucky. Um, hey, so I didn't change it anyway. I kept going, and I
Yeah.
just, left turn after left turn after left turn. But it wasn't until I met Access Consciousness that I started acknowledging that these were my choices rather
Yes.
than luck, or rather
Yes.
than, oh my God, 5 minutes before everything breaks, someone throws you uh, a lifesaver.
Mhm.
That's how I perceived it back then. So finally, in 2015, when I met Access Consciousness, I started looking at all of this. Wow, that was actually a cool creation. I must have known something.
Yes. Oh, yes,
Um,
absolutely.
so yeah, this is how it went on and on and on. With my law firm, with certain clients, I just never ever did anything as you should do it as a good lawyer. Everything was kind of by default, or by coincidence, or by luck, according to them. But now
Yes.
I actually acknowledged, wow, I obviously created that. And
Yes. You created all of it. It's amazing. And you didn't come from a wealthy or highly educated background, did you?
No, my parents were very typical, mediocre, average family. My father was an accountant, my mom was a housewife. It was that was also funny. They were so happy with their life. My father had a relatively good income,
Uh-huh.
and we lived in an apartment that was supported by the government, where you paid 1 cent per square meter rent.
Wow.
Um, that was to support families where just one parent is working and the mother is a housewife. So you need to have I know, a low income and lots of children to live there. So from their point of view, they had money. My point of view was, oh my God, why are we not moving out here? Why is my dad not taking another job? Why is mom at home and not working? These were the questions that when I was 5. And I think the very first left turn I took in my life was I was 5 years old and I asked my parents, am I adopted?
Wow.
Because I just couldn't, I didn't get how can you be happy with this small life?
Yeah.
And they had
That's
no.
amazing. You didn't buy into, most of us buy into whatever the energetic culture is of our family. And you
Oh,
clearly
I,
didn't.
I just couldn't. I couldn't. And I literally asked my mom, well, why don't you go to work so we have more money? And said, well, who is taking care of you? And I said, I can. I don't need anyone to take care of me.
Wow.
So they didn't take it that well when I asked them whether I was adopted. My two sisters, I have two sisters, they were also so happy with this perfect family life. And then my dad actually he took me aside and said, listen, if you don't like that kind of life, you need to create your own because there's one thing that you will never get from me, and that is money.
Interesting.
So I
Wow.
said, okay, good.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Yes, and I started my first business. I was collecting empty glass bottles in the public. We had these public swimming pools in
Uh-huh.
Vienna, and they had these little cafes. And when people were drinking Coke and beer, and
Sure.
you had to return the bottle, and you got 5 cents per bottle that you return. So I started collecting these bottles from all these tables, asking, "Can I have the empty bottle?" I was 6 by then.
Wow.
And brought them back, and I probably made like $20 in one summer. But for a 6-year-old, that was a lot of money.
Oh, and it showed a lot of initiative.
I
It
know, and I said,
really
"See,
did.
Dad, I
Yeah.
started making my own money," and he was like, "Well, that won't take you anywhere." But I kept going. I
Yes.
started
Kept going.
walking a dog for $5 an hour. I knew if I took it really, that conversation with my dad was okay. I got it.
Yes.
So
Yes. That's awesome.
since that day, I always had, I don't know, 2 or 3 jobs, just making sure money always comes in because I also like to spend it on beautiful things that I
Mhm.
then had to hide because I felt guilty.
Oh, wow.
But hey, I was young, I didn't have the tools, so
Right.
I
Right.
did it my way.
So, how did access change things for you? Or you chose to change things with the access tools?
Um, as I said, everything I achieved so far, when I found Access, I was literally, I was bored in life. The law
Mm.
firm was really successful. Everything was there. But there was this one thing missing, and it was joy. I was,
Um,
I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy. There was no, I wasn't, my life wasn't fulfilled. I always thought there must be more. And I also thought as soon as I have all the money, everything will be good, but it wasn't. So
yes.
I started looking for all these alternative methods to find
Mhm.
myself and center myself and whatever. On one of those journeys, I haven't
Yes.
booked a trip to Tibet for 3 months, but I was close to do it. Instead, I signed up for a class in Oakland with Gary. No, when I discovered the tools of access consciousness, I literally discovered that all the areas in life where I thought I was wrong or was an idiot or was weak or was just lucky or I was like, fuck this, it was actually brilliant. I
Yeah.
knew something, I chose it, I created it. So it was like this download of you're not as fucked up as you thought you were. Um, there's actually something that you actually did well. And
Yes.
starting to acknowledge that made me choose more of that. It made me be more of that. I somehow decided I have to stop, playing this game with the universe
Mhm.
because I will run out of luck one day. I was so lucky with all of that happened to me. So I was about to stop that because I thought you can't exaggerate, you can't stretch it too much with the universe because you already got so much and you've been lucky so many times. And then I discovered maybe it wasn't luck.
Yeah. And maybe you can have even greater, create even greater.
Yes.
Yes.
And since then, yeah, wow, I really have to say that the quality of life, the level of happiness, um, not depending on the opinion of others. I cared a lot about my image. What can you do and not do as a lawyer?
Right. Right.
All of that beautifully started to melt away and allowed me to relax and truly enjoy life. And to add my access facilitator business, which was the greatest gift in my life so far. Um, Facilitating people and uh, I have this idea that if I facilitate, maybe more people who are in my situation get that they are not wrong at a maybe at a little earlier stage than I. I do have these moments when I go, damn it, why didn't I? Why not 10 years earlier? Why not when I was
Yes.
at law school?
Yes. I understand that one. I really do.
That and literally it's sitting in a room, when you do a bars class or a foundation, or just now I had a 3D body class in St. Petersburg, just sitting in a room full of people looking at you going, wow, I'm actually not wrong.
Yes.
These are the most beautiful moments in life, and I literally found what I was looking for. That I know now my life has a sense that me being here is a contribution to other people, and yes, it
Mhm.
is changing
Mhm.
our future. Um, and that became the most beautiful value of my
Mhm.
life. And that that is what I was always looking for. Well, it makes sense that I'm here this lifetime,
Yes.
this kind
Yes.
of idea.
And that's an incredible left turn also, because you have, people are like, well, you have all the money and the status and the image and all of that. And what's of value to you? Really facilitating people that they are not wrong and that
Yeah,
can create and generate more and be them. And I agree with you. I think that's absolutely amazing. Giving
yeah.
people a different way of being.
I mean, literally showing people or empowering people or making them see you're not
Yes.
wrong. There's a
Yes.
beauty in everyone. You literally cannot be wrong.
Right.
Um, and I use my own story a lot when I facilitate because everybody thinks once you made it in this reality, my accountant, before I found Access, my accountant said, "Oh my God, you're so lucky. You accumulated so much money and so much wealth. You can retire in 2 years." And I was like, "What?" You want to kill me? I panicked. I said, "What? That was it? Where is
Yeah.
the joy? Everything that I
Yeah.
expected from having that status and
Yeah.
nothing. I felt so empty inside,
Yeah.
and I couldn't fill it up with money, with reputation, and with all of that. It just didn't.
Right.
It somehow fell through.
Yes.
No matter how much
Yeah.
I tried to put in, I never had this sensation of wow, I have value.
Yes.
But now I do. Now I do with every person that smiles at me and that goes, "Wow, thank you. What a
Yes.
gift. What a
Yeah.
gift."
That's absolutely lovely. What has being the international lawyer for access brought for you?
Oh my God. Challenges after challenges after
Challenge, I
challenges.
know. Just listening to some of the conversations in class, I can imagine.
No, no, this is literally the greatest gift because I know one thing that always bothered me as an international lawyer was the people always wanted to be right and they never wanted to everything had to be perfect and no risk and no risk and you only choose before you exactly know what this will be. And my job was to issue legal opinions to give them a guarantee what they choose will work, at least financially or legally. With being the lawyer of access, literally I could start follow my knowing with
Yes.
legal stuff as well and financial stuff because so many times I just knew, well, gosh, this will work. We don't need any, just do it, do it. And everybody said, no, no, no. Where's the guarantee? Where's the legal opinion? We can't take any risk. And I was like, well, how can you move? How can you create? It was literally being in a prison. And with access, it's the opposite. It's the opposite every time. When I started, prepared all these analyses, this SWOT analysis, what is this, so that Gary can, and Gary said, yes. And I said, no, wait a minute, I haven't presented, yes. I said, no, I function from yes, no, I follow my knowing. And I said, but
Mhm.
you cannot know because I haven't given you the information. And Gary said, yes, you can. Knowing is not cognitive knowing, it's the being. So I
Yes.
literally learned to add that knowing, not the cognitive knowing.
Right.
I learned to add my knowing, my real knowing, to my job as an international lawyer. And wow, that was a roller coaster, but a real fun one.
Wow. Yes, I imagine. It's such a shift.
So it is a shift because there is this reality and there are rules and regulations and tax laws and VAT
Mhm.
and then company setup and arm's length transactions, and it's very, very complex. Access Consciousness is a worldwide company with headquarters in the US, in Ireland, in Australia. We
Yes.
had China for a few years. Um, all these different legal systems, all these choices you need to make in order will this work, and then you just go yes, no. It was kind of this kick that you have when you like when you go bungee jumping, is this fuck, and it worked, and it always worked. So it was this, and you have to make it, you have to make it real for this reality as well.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
You have to be both.
Exactly. And that
Yeah.
is the thing that I really enjoy because I literally learned over the years to translate
Hmm.
access as a business into this reality. So explain it to the tax authorities, open a new company, get all the know your client compliance checks done. It
Hmm.
was, but beautiful. It's kind of being two different the access energy, the access words, this is what we want, and this is how you have to explain it so it can be received. That's a more like my job is more like a translator.
Well, I think I would say it's a real talent to be able to do that.
Well, I was trained over years by Gary Douglas. His
Yes.
patience with me, oh my God. It was really beautiful because he literally said, listen, no, he doesn't make a compromise.
Yeah.
He follows his knowing, no matter how much I freak out and I said, gosh, this and this and this. And I remember that one situation he said, fucking make it infinite. And
Yes.
and it worked.
And it worked.
And it
Exactly.
worked. So
Amazing.
beautiful, beautiful journey.
Yes. A very lovely journey.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you so much. I'm so glad you came on, David. I really, really appreciate it. And I know this will be an inspiration for a lot of people.
Well, I hope so. Thank you so much for having me as your guest. I love listening to your podcasts. I'm a big fan of yours, especially the one where you got interviewed. You are an inspiration, Marilyn. Thank you so much for everything you be and do and facilitate and just more of that, please. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining this episode of Left Turn. I wonder what embracing left turns could create in your life. What magical possibilities might show up. Remember, when you choose left turns, you are joining a group of the most creative and brilliant people the world has ever known.